Hey everyone, what's going on? I guess we'll try to see if there'll be a few more people joining us. I had this as a request tonight for NFT night, so I will see um, how many people we get in here. All right, we got Easy Eats coming up. Actually, the one that was requesting for tonight to be NFT night, which I guess there was actually some miscommunication there because one of us thought it was this week, one of us thought it was next week. So who knows? We might do another one next week. What's going on, Easy?
Hey, how are you?
Not too bad. I'm trying on a new software to broadcast Twitter Spaces to YouTube. So far it's going well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So because so I'm mirroring the my phone screen to my desktop, then streaming it to YouTube. It's quite the workaround, but it works, I think.
Huh. I mean, if it's effective, it's effective.
Yeah, heck yeah. So I saw that you had a new project going on. What that you keep putting out there. Did you want to put that up in the nest and kind of put it out there for everyone?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I'll actually share one of the things I did today that was a little bit fun. I'm always saying like community is the biggest commodity in this space, and we had a little collaborative project that kicked off today purely by happenstance. It was about 40 small projects, all ranging under 2,500 followers, all just kind of combined on this image throughout the day, just adding their components from what they work on. So it was pretty interesting to see kind of how it came to life, what came from it, and really what kind of transpired. The other thing I've been working on, I'm a huge kind of community person, especially in the NFT space. It's really the community and the people around you that sells and drives success, it seems like, especially when you even look at some of these larger projects. So I started working on a project that was just referred to as the book. That's a Discord page, about 10 pages, each sold individually. That's a write-only access for the holder. It confirms a token, allows that individual to drive or use that token and add anything they want to that page. And once they sell that page, the next writer can add whatever, but they can't delete or remove anything. So it's kind of just like a collaborative, ongoing project. Really, it's continuing to just kind of drive community aspects and make other people feel involved. It really, one of my main things has been focusing on smaller projects and kind of helping them come to life and pick up speed with my own following. Okay.
No, I was gonna say like the one that you were just talking about, where people can like add their own little pieces here and there after they sell it, and they can't, and somebody else just kind of adds to it. I really like that one. It's kind of it kind of reminded me of like the Never Ending Story. You don't know if you remember
That's
that, but
exactly where like the idea I got from
yeah,
it too, and it was like,
that is such a neat idea. I really I enjoyed it to see that. So I'm gonna have to definitely pick one up here soon, and then add my little piece, and then keep it for a while, and then sell it off to see what everyone adds to it. So,
exactly.
I mean, then I
And
think
we have
that's
one guy in it too. He's like doing a comic book and he's just writing down like his sketches and ideas. So it's just like there's so many different things. We have the guy who created a project called Emotions, that's a generative project or a generative poetry. And he's just adding like snippets of things where the AI messed up and has like comical poetry aspects to it. So it's all just like so many different things that some people are adding. We have two people who are working together to figure out what storyline they want to do. So it's just like a million different moving parts that ideally, as it continues to progress, we'll be able to kind of push this out into like a collective book almost. So I'm excited to see where it goes. It was a cool idea. There was even this thing called Ape Tank, which is like a Shark Tank on NFTs that I went on and pitched this idea and got some really good feedback and response on. So it's been a busy time, but it's been a blast.
that sounds like it. I mean, I think it'd be really cool to pick one of these up and just kind of get like somehow, if it wasn't too expensive for each ape, like you kind of had to uh, everyone agreed to that it wouldn't be like stupid expensive every time you sold it, so somebody else who bought it. But get one for the apes and their motivation, like what they're in for and stuff like that. Might I like this.
And that's the cool part. It's so open. Like it's like, well, we obviously have like some very minimalistic rules, like no racism, no homophobia, no things like that. That's the only thing that I have control over removing. We actually have a bot that'll filter for certain words and remove them or variations of the word. Just to, of course, we want it to be decentralized, but at the same time, we don't want it to be offensive. So it's like you gotta kind of have some of those caveats, but it's really just be open and let people kind of go crazy.
Yeah, that is so cool. Okay, so how did you come up with the idea? Like that is it because like did you watch the Never Ending Story or like read it or whatever and then
No, no. So that was the funny part was that you just actually reminded me of the Neverending Story, to be honest. It was, which was funny because I have read it, but that's the idea came from how do we engage a community aspect and provide flexibility from a streamlined or singular community to more projects, more people, smaller groups, people who may feel like they're struggling and getting in front of the right audience. Because I'm, like I was saying, kind of like a huge proponent on community growth and community building. So as my community grows and the people who are interested in what I'm driving, I really wanted to get that in front of other people. Let other people kind of see and understand that they can even promote through it, drive kind of more eyes on it. And as my own Discord kind of gets traction, it's a way and an avenue for them to push, get their own traction, and then pass it on to the next person. Or even use it as an open-ended diary. Since it's also Discord too, people can react to the posts. So like the emoji icons can be responded to it, just like little tiny pieces of fun there that lets some additional components happen to it, so you don't feel so like alone just writing. You can see how some people are responding to it, um, and it really just came from the idea that like there's not that much community collaboration in a space that so many people are preaching about building a strong community.
right. And then no, dang it. I am so happy. Like you're probably one of the like out of all the random people that I've ever met, like it was just so funny that like to meet you and just, you know, I
100%.
I mean, you went from like cuz are you still doing your corner shop
Yeah, oh yeah.
NFTs?
So we launched like sandwiches. We have like drinks still. The drinks are slowly kind of, we have like 50 of them, and now it's like sandwiches. So tomorrow I'm actually launching a line of like breakfast sandwiches, like a bacon, egg, and cheese, sausage, ham, things like that, four of them at a time. And the first ones we got up to like 44. I'll probably cap it at 50. Second selection will probably be another 50 of just the sandwiches. Then we're actually going to do like derivatives of major NFTs on like potato chip bags. Like it's going to be like the Bored Ape Bugles, Cool Cats, Cool Ranch chips, things like that. So it's like some of the big name projects, but like my derivative take on a snack bag of it. So it's I'm just having fun with it while kind of doing some other things that are really community focused. But like you said, I know I joined your first group and I had like 150, 200 followers, and it's been just blowing up.
Well, I mean, you're constantly everywhere. Like there was one night I was like, "Have you slept in 4 days?" Like I feel like you were constantly awake. So no, I mean, I'm really proud of you, dude. I'm happy for you because you're, gosh, let's see, let's pull you up. Heck yeah, you were at 1217. Damn, you have been working, haven't you? Um, oh, it's incredible, and that's what it's about, right? Is just communities helping communities, and I mean, um, oh, can't stop. Kate has to go. Oh shit, gotta go. But come back later to watch the whole stream. Heck yes, heck yes. So, and anybody that's on YouTube, please let me know if the volume is better using it this way for Twitter Spaces because I kid you not, I was up for a while trying to figure out the best solution to stream Twitter Space to YouTube because I know it was really quiet the other night. So, um, but no, I don't know what to call you. I always call you either easy or wait, you had baloney at some point, but
Easy, easy is the easiest way. That's what
easy
most
is
people
easy.
go with.
Okay, that works for me. You had baloney in your name, right? Like,
No, I think it might have been a post that I had
man,
around baloney. I haven't
yeah,
changed
I'm
my
so
name in
confused.
months.
Maybe my dyslexia got the best of me with the bodega.
The bodega, probably.
I was starting to look at your name like, wait, where did I get baloney from?
That would
This
make
is
sense.
this is the lack of sleep getting to me now. So anyway, but yeah, no, I'm excited for your projects. And I know you've been in all kinds of NFT spaces. Is there anything that you're seeing out that everyone should be aware of? Like anyone that you want to kind of, I believe you say
Yeah, so there's
shilling.
a couple projects too. There's this one project where let me actually find the exact at name. They'd launched a website that just highlights kind of projects in a singular blurb or sentence, and it was a really cool take. The individual said that he's going to be updating it, I believe, weekly, but I want to make sure I give him proper credit. Okay, Moonland is its his at is Enter Institute. So let me share that as well because it's a very good follow, especially for people who have been hesitant to get into space. People have been somewhat kind of not nervous, I guess, but some people who have felt like they may not understand the space fully or feel like there's a barrier of entry. This individual started quite literally this month. Is up to 150 followers, entirely based on artist advice, growth, uh, some cool things like that. They do interviews with other artists, smaller groups, things like that. So none of it is a project. None of it's actually a release desire around the project. They're not selling anything. It's purely just an open forum to share projects and same kind of idea, get other people and groups in front of the right people. So I was like, this is pretty cool, and it's completely website based. So they do a link to the project, a quick 2 to 3 sentences about the project, and a couple of images from what that project releases. So they just started reaching out recently to collaborate on a few things with I do an NFT newspaper every Sunday where we highlight a small and a large project. So I got a few things going on here. It's the whole idea of a convenience store. There's a million things you can get in it. So that's kind of part of that too. And that's now actually free in our Discord, including the interviews with artists. So really, I'm trying to expand that reach to help people notice and start to see that there's a ton of flexibility in this space. There's no idea that's a bad idea. The space is growing tremendously. And if you've ever considered making an NFT, honestly, in my opinion, you should. Don't think there's a bad idea. I think there's so much room for improvement. Um, and really just so much room for ideas to flourish and grow. So that's really kind of how I feel about it. And I know it's there's definitely some overlap in the finance space as well. In the finance world, we're starting to see a lot of things from charting on NFTs, which is kind of funny to me because I know we've talked about it before, but I've been trading tickers and option trading and all that other fun stuff for years now. Still pretty active in that, but it's also now kind of seeping into the NFT world where there's a couple
How
pages as well.
how do you
That,
chart an NFT? That's so.
that's the funny part. So let me share this real quick. There's this page called Spreadsheets, and it's pure NFT spreadsheets. And it's this guy just does okay. So the three, he charts it off of volume profile, and it's fascinating because you can actually see some clear like pullbacks and then breakouts and stuff. And I was like, this is interesting. But really, it's like mostly volume profile. If you can understand some volume profiles, you start to feel pretty comfortable. But yeah, take a look at this. So it's all like where recent floors are, so you can very quickly understand where support and resistance is. It's all through API calls in real time.
Now that is really silly. I mean, the fact. I
So
mean, so does it follow crypto then? Like, does it? Is that how they're? Like, do you
no,
have
so
to?
this is only based on the volume of the NFT. It's not based on coin volume. So even that, like if you look at that first chart, it's a downward wedge with a breakout to the upside. And it worked out beautifully. Like right when that started breaking towards the upside, it then ran another zero point 0.4 Ethereum, which is $120 in profit. And then if you look to the right of that, there's a relative floor price distribution and recent sales volume. So you can see how much volume is moving, where that support and resistance is, and this individual is just running all of it off of API calls. I was like, that is the coolest thing. I never even considered that being possible.
I mean, this is getting ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
But I
oh
mean,
yeah.
but that is
Trust me.
that is really cool though. I mean, the fact that we can actually like chart these kinds of things now versus just kind of going in at a whim might make it even more competitive, like with the crypto and stock world, right? Because I mean, everyone's so skeptical of the NFT world, but at the same time, I guess I mean, it's a legit, you know, investment opportunity. I just keep looking at this like this is silly. I
It's
never,
crazy. It's
I
like
didn't,
absolutely insane.
huh? Thank you for sharing this. This is very interesting.
And if you look at his other media, well, it's like that was just the first one. You can even see like below that you have like the sevens, which was a very big project that ultimately rug pulled and had some issues around the contract deployment. And you can see it tapered off horribly. You have bullish reversal or a bearish reversal candle forming off of that 2 ETH level right when it revealed, and now it's just been trading basically flat.
Hmm.
And that goes back to the start of the month. And it's like you can see he links it all well. So the one thing I really care about is that floor price, because that'll actually show you like if you can get in at the floor and sales volume is picking up, you can usually scalp zero point 0.4 to zero point 0.5 ETH on some of these trades. And it just sounds like I never thought I'd be talking about any of this stuff like this because I'm like, there's no way. Even when I started looking at it, I was like, this is absurd. And now I'm looking at these charts and like floor volumes and average volume and profiles. And I'm like, this is nuts. I got to be losing my mind here.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. Sorry, guys. My brain's not working tonight. I was like, oh yeah, I can hear everyone through my headset. And I didn't realize my mic, I need the mic still on my face to talk in the. I've completely lost my mind. I'm sorry. Um, but no, this is incredible. I want to figure out how his brain figured this out. Like,
It's That's what I'm so curious about because I want to know what he's charting it in. And I mean, he joined the space last month, or a year ago almost. And before that, he's only been charting for like 3 months with this stuff. And he also will do like average volume over like 10-minute periods. So it's just like you see where volume is coming from. You see what's moving quickly, what's moving slowly. It's just such an interesting take on the whole thing because to your point, it's like it almost puts it in that same realm of crypto and stock, but it's JPEGs.
hey D, how's it going in YouTube? And Diane watching from the PH. I don't know what PH is. But hi, Diane. um, hey, Jeremiah, Tampa Kurt, Antimatter, everyone that's in here. It is a quiet night tonight. I'm kind of sad right now. Um, but yeah, no, this is really incredible findings. Like this, I really appreciate you sharing this, and I'm gonna try to figure it out. I'm gonna try to figure out how he's charting this, and where he's getting this information. Unless someone already beat me to it. I am curious,
Well, he
Jeremiah.
uses the API from OpenSea, so he's pulling that. But I want to know what way he's charting it. Like, is it a visual graph over a daily chart? Like, how that's actually being done is what I'm very interested in.
Yeah, that is very cool. Because I do know, like, so Hambone's been doing. My husband has been doing a lot of studying and research into the Algorand NFT stuff, which has actually been really cool. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed, like, Algorand went on a pretty damn good run. Like, I don't know, like it's. I'm very interested to see how that little coin does with a lot of this because it does have low gas and everything, and more people are actually using it for NFTs. So, um, I don't know. I think there's going to be a little bit of a fight between, Ethereum and Algo for sure. Um,
I think Algo's a big one. Sol is picking up a ton of speed, like Solana. Um,
yeah, I've seen
you
that
got to
one
take a
too.
look at VV uses their own, and they're already partnered with Disney and Marvel, so they're releasing like comic books, variant covers, a whole bunch of stuff. It's just a crazy, crazy time to be honest with
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like, I mean, the NFT world is just, it's going to be insane. And I think, um, I don't know, like okay, so maybe I'll pick your brain on this. So, upcoming crash, economy crash, whatever you want to say. Um, do you think we're going to see NFTs used more for, like, safe and secure contracting versus just regular, like, contracts? Do you think people are going to start attaching things to NFTs versus how we've been doing it?
I want to think so. The issue is like you brought up a good point with gas. Because like imagine you need to get a new license or even better idea, tickets is probably where I see the most applicability. You want to go to a concert, eliminates fraudulent tickets and scalpers outside selling fake tickets because there's a confirmation. It's on a blockchain. It's an active security in that case. Imagine trying to check your ticket in and transfer it to the venue to confirm that you've gone in, and them telling you, okay, if you go in right now, you'll have to pay us $1,200 because we have a lot of people going in. If you wait 10 minutes when the line's shorter, it's only going to be $120. You know what I mean? Because that's how gas works. It's a volume-based profile and a volume-based interaction. The more volume, the higher the cost is of a transaction. So that's kind of like, is this really feasible unless we can limit that cost?
Yeah, I get that too. I don't know. Like oh, and then maybe Jeremiah can speak on this too, because I'm gonna wrap crypto into this. Did anybody see the crypto regulations that they're trying to do, or maybe it was stock? Hold on, I might be totally out of my mind right now. No, never mind. That was for stocks. That was the SEC and retail. Never mind. ignore that
Well, I
statement.
think it's interesting too. No, I
Uh,
mean, there's definitely some interesting caveats to that too, because you got to look at some of these like NFTs that are paying royalties to holders,
mhm.
and that starts to creep into the aspect of a security because now they're basically paying a dividend, which is going to get flagged by the SEC and that ultimately cause some form of regulation if they start to pay a dividend because it gets classified as that equity. So it's like there's a lot of things. It's really the wild, wild west right now. So it's like that's why I think some of this is getting a lot of traction and people are kind of running wild because there isn't regulation on it yet, um, and no real definition of what exactly an NFT is. You know?
Yeah, I mean, well, and that's the other thing. I have a problem with them, them wanting to regulate crypto and all of this other stuff. Like, I don't quite understand why all of a sudden, right? Like, I mean, crypto's been around since, gosh, we'll say '08, '09, maybe with Bitcoin. Why all of a sudden do they want to like start putting their fingers in the basket when everyone starts buying it? Like, there, it's no longer the playground for, institutions to use or whatever. So, they're starting to regulate it now, but at the same time, are they going to regulate it to where they don't get to mistreat it? Are they going to regulate it
That's the
to,
crazy part.
like they sit here and they keep saying, "Oh, we're trying to protect the retailers from what you?" Like,
Yeah, the whole idea of it is to be decentralized. You know what I mean? So it's like, what's really your focus here, your hope? Especially because it's like, yeah, that's a great point. Like, who are you trying to protect? You?
I mean, I think that's what's funny is that they weren't worried about any of these regulations with
When
the
people are
stock
losing
market.
money.
Yeah, when in the stock market, in crypto, and NFTs, and real estate, they weren't worried about it. They weren't worried about it until they started losing money. I,
Yeah,
I,
no.
I am so just baffled by it. Hey, antimatter, what's going on?
Hey, I just wanted to chime in with a comment on what was just being discussed around the regulations. It's interesting that over the past couple of weeks I have been watching the MIT Open Courseware courses by Gary Gensler back when he was a professor at
This is
MIT
sweet.
covering Bitcoin or covering cryptocurrencies. And so this was back, I want to say like around the 2014, 20 or maybe a little more recently around 2017. But essentially, he's talking about the overall market, before crypto and how regulations tend to lag a little behind. And again, this was around 2017 ish. And he was predicting that probably it's going to be about 10 to 15 years of a lag before regulations start coming into play for the crypto space. So, if you think, well, Bitcoin first started in 27 or 2007, this would be around that time where the regulations finally start catching up. So in a sense, I hear what kind of the optics of why all of a sudden. But with new technology, there is going to be some sort of a lag. And I think what was also interesting was some of the comments made, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago by Elizabeth Warren, that when crypto tanked again, what was it, 2 weeks ago? Um, People like the retail people that are more likely to sell because they don't have as big of a portfolio when these flash crashes happen. Um, with the gas fees, it might not be economical for you to sell. You might be paying more in gas fees than your position is worth. So you'll just kind of be sitting on your hands, effectively locked out. And I see both sides. In some cases, there may, if the mantra is to protect retail investors, in those scenarios, there might be a need to put some sort of guardrails around, how exchanges need to operate, how they need to remain accessible for retail to be able to cash out, to get out of their positions quickly.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and it all comes back to that argument too. Like, if you want a decentralized asset, there shouldn't be those safeguards in place because it's not supposed to be managed by a centralized location. So it's also understanding that there are going to be caveats, there are going to be limitations, there are going to be differences than traditional financial markets, such as those uncentralized exchanges. Also, the fact that like there isn't a SEC to contact if say you get scammed or lose money, sadly. So it's like the hard part about that is like I get the need for liquidation ability, but then at the same time you can also transfer to a separate coin and liquidate that way. Um, yeah,
But I agree.
yeah, no, 100%. I think you're right. But it's
That's the point. It's
fascinating.
supposed to be decentralized. That is part of the point.
Jeremiah, what do you got for us?
Hey guys, I just wanted to quick comment on regulations and all of that. So one thing to note about any cryptocurrency that currently exists, whether it's Ethereum or Bitcoin or Solana or ADA or Nano or Stellar or whatever, is that until essentially this year, or maybe late last year, there was no cryptocurrency that had the potential to compete with anything in mainstream transactional volume um, at any level. So meaning that prior to this year, prior to late 2020, really, there was no way of envisioning, like everyone knew that there was going to be eventually a point where regulations needed to step in and were going to step in. And rather than being driven, like I'm kind of on the same point of like antimatter of like the optics of it, rather than being driven by like a protection, more of a protection protocol or something like that, I think it's more driven by the idea that we are now at the point where cryptocurrencies are able to theoretically or push that theoretical envelope of transaction volume to be able to compete with like the Swift networks and things like that. I mean, we're still realistically 2 to 3 years away from that being able to be done on a large scale, just because that's the perils of decentralized networks. You have bandwidth issues, you have node issues, things like that. So even like the top level of theoretical transactions per second for like the highest level of cryptocurrencies of like Solana, for example, of a theoretical limit of like 37,000 transactions per second is still 5,000 transactions per second slower than Visa. And that's with Solana being essentially 80% centralized in order to accomplish that. Like centralized networks allow for high transaction speeds. That's why Visa is able to do it. That's why Swift, all Swift networks
Great
and
point.
New York Stock Exchange are able to do it, all of that. That's why Vivi is a centralized blockchain. It's able to accommodate the massive load without any issues because it's a centralized blockchain. It's not decentralized. Their recent announcement that they're going to move to Ethereum networks will absolutely cause their transaction speed to plummet until theoretical limits are increased because of Ethereum 2.0, if and when we ever see that. So I do think that there is reason to believe that the reason we are starting to see regulations now is because there is a point now where cryptocurrency is in the next 1 to 2 years, which just happens to be the timeline for the 2023 infrastructure bill actually to go into play and be effective, that we will end up seeing cryptocurrency be able to compete on a global scale with existing transaction systems that are heavily taxed, that are heavily regulated, and that do control heavily regulated systems. So I think that the regulations that we're seeing now are preparation for the ability for those the inevitability for the cryptocurrency networks to take a more of a front seat in the transactions that we see on a global scale every day, because it's becoming more and more obvious that that's the direction we're going anyway. So if you get the regulations in now, then there's a greater chance of being able to theoretically control it in the future.
I think you just made honestly an incredible point there around that. The fact that you brought up the infrastructure bill, which actually has some of the most legislation, documentation, and verbiage around cryptocurrencies, is very interesting. especially like go live. I think you also made a very fascinating point about the ETH 2.0. I mean, they're three different deliverable dates behind already. So I personally don't have a lot of faith in that at the moment. I think a lot of people in the space continue to rely or hope that it's going to come to fruition. But personally, I'm not very hopeful, sadly, at the moment for it. It should limit block size or increase block
Same.
size, limiting cost, but we'll see if they can actually pull it off.
Same. I've said it before on spaces like this. I think Vitalik has done an amazing job being an orator, and Ethereum as a whole does an amazing job being a brand and marketing and selling people on an idea. I think that when it comes to actually ear to the grindstone and following through on their timelines and their promises, they have a tendency to really be able to spin it to make you realize that they haven't, like, to make you forget that they haven't come through on the most of their timelines and promises for the last essentially 5 years. And it's okay because they just keep saying, well, Ethereum 2.0 is 6 months away, and then they release the next stage and they call it Ethereum 2.0, and then people say in the next interview, well, Ethereum 2.0 is here, great. And then Vitalik says, well, actually, Ethereum 2.0 is like 6 months away because it's the next stage. And they just call every stage Ethereum 2.0.
No, 100%. I mean, it's also interesting too, and Vitalik is pushing a need for an L2 to take over NFT space. If you had seen his public AMA on Twitter, where he let anybody who follows him,
Yeah.
or anyone he follows ask a question, he was just kind of like, "Yeah, I personally don't believe NFTs are the way. We need an L2 to take over that volume."
I also think it's hilarious that Vitalik's primary like breadwinner for the L2 competition being optimism essentially fell flat in front of Arbitrum. So like again, I think it's another element of like people have kind of blindly followed Vitalik for several years because of the promises that him and the Ethereum Alliance have made to the community. I think that it's catching up to him as other coins like Cardano and Solana and ALGO and things like that are starting to come out of the woodwork and come into their own as like from the tech stack side to be able to compete with
The usability
Ethereum
aspect.
that has been largely static with what it does.
Yeah, I'm really excited. If you've taken a look at the ADA smart contract, it's actually pretty good. I was pleasantly
I
surprised.
super bull on ADA, man. I'll talk ADA all day long.
Yeah, that
I,
was one that I was looking into. I was very like, this is sweet.
I am not too bullish on ADA right now. I got in too
Why?
early. I got in at the wrong price point. Me and ADA are having a dueling out right now.
Yeah,
There's some
well,
beef.
We have
I
some
mean,
beef.
the
No, I'm just kidding.
historically the problem with price points on ADA is that most of the price gets driven by early on by early investors. So almost all of the announcements get baked in very early. So like that's the reason why we saw like the $3 crawl prior to Alonzo, and then Alonzo dropped. We saw nothing. That's the reason why prior to the Mary hard fork in March, in early March, we saw push up from 60 cents to $1.40, and then all the new investors in ADA were super excited because they thought they were getting in before the Mary hard fork launched, and then that was going to make it explode. But ADA historically has priced in all of its value about a month before it actually
It's
goes
front
into.
ran. Another issue
Yeah.
with decentralization a little bit.
No, it's no. I really do like ADA. You've actually you and my husband were the two that got me into it. I was like, this is a good coin. I like this one. No, and I
And in
appreciate.
the NFT space, they've been killing it. I've been flipping NFTs within ADA. It's super cheap to do, and
Yeah.
Very, very good returns on that.
yes,
I like Poly too if they can figure out some of it, just because it's OpenSea's only other supported coin, Matic at the moment.
yeah.
It's just they just have a bridge at the moment. As soon as a repository releases the ability to buy ETH directly on the Matic network, that should explode. I mean, we saw it almost break two multiple times now, so it's like a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that there's a lot of really good coins that are like floating around that are now starting to challenge Ethereum for like the spaces that Ethereum has kind of calmly lived in without it having to innovate for the last 5 years. I mean, Ethereum has been talking about proof of stake as an option since like 2015. But
Yeah, since it broke 2K.
yeah, so like it's not like a new thing, but it took them 2 years to even like map out and scope what Ethereum 2.0 would actually look like, and then it took another 2 years for them to launch a test net. So The fact is that like I don't think that you can ignore Ethereum for what it's done to the crypto community and expanded the functionality of cryptocurrency. But as a whole, all of the innovation that has come out of Ethereum has come from third parties building dApps on the network, not from Ethereum.
Yeah, which is actually the most interesting part. I also think once gamification comes out, it might kill Ethereum. You already look at something like a Zed Run, which is the horse racing. You have to stake the contract for your horse every time you race. So as gas fees spike, Zed Run's volume dies because it's too expensive to race. Which is why they started releasing horses on the Poly network, which allows for basically costless racing. And as you watch gas spike, almost all of the races shift to Poly, which, as you look at other games where there's going to be play to earn and the aspect of swapping out, say, an item, if you want to add a sword to your character to fight with, that's going to be impossible on the Ethereum network. If gas is high, it's going to cost you $300 to put that on your character to fight for one fight, etc. So just like little things like that a lot of people don't really consider. That there's a huge push and focus on this attempt to get into gamification. Like a lot of people want it, a lot of people call for it, and it's like still a lot of factors you have to start to consider.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I have. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna agree. Like gamification's gonna be something huge anymore. I think we've all changed the market in a few different ways. I also wanted to say hi, Johnny Rocket and GS. Thanks for stopping in, guys. But no, you guys are 100%. I mean, it's the crypto has changed so much, just even in this past year, right? I cannot believe how fast things have grown just in the last, I'll say 6 months. It's not even been since January, but I think when everyone ever saw like Doge and I'll just say Doge running, everyone kind of hopped on board and started creating a yeah, oh my god, yeah. Like it just everything started running and new coins and tokens were being created and this whole new idea with what the quote unquote ape community did was the buy and hold like you see a lot of coins with that and I don't know like it's fascinating. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying to see the evolution of crypto.
It'll be interesting to see what long-term impact. I was actually speaking to about this in a voice chat earlier today. It would be interesting to see what the long-term impact is on the last 6 months or really early, like the first, like Q1, early Q2 of this year, on the historical mid-cycle run up for the bull cycle peak on Bitcoin and then the drop to bear. Because like we should have already been on the bull cycle run at this point, but we kind of like extended the timeline because we essentially hit an all-time high on Bitcoin before we should have. Like historically speaking, if Bitcoin follows the same pattern, we should have maybe peaked at 50 or so in March and then dropped back down and then started our bull cycle run up in like July or so. And with a likely ending by December, January with an actual all-time high peak and then a plunge to start the bear cycle if the historical pattern of mid-cycle halving continues. But now like we've shifted beyond that where the excitement that came in and the new blood, new money that came in the early in Q1 of this year because of meme stocks has kind of like pushed the Bitcoin timeline by 2 or 3 months, which is why we saw that correction in June, and it dipped to 37 because that would have been the standard 20 to 30, 25% correction off of the original all-time high of 50. So we end up seeing a dip and back down, and then it dropped further because we saw new money hop out because they got scared of loss. So now it's like the entire historical cycle of this is kind of screwed in a way, and it's going to be interesting to see like where the new prediction model ends up going. Like, are we at the base of the bull cycle mountain now, or do we see further drop to like a 34, 36K area before we do the bull cycle run up, and then on the bull cycle run up, do we even hit the 62 ATH, or do we like stick right below it? And for the first time in history, will the bull cycle all-time high be lower than the bull cycle peak, than the peak right before the bull cycle run up? So it's interesting for me who have looked at the charts for many years and have been able to rely on the mathematics of crypto for investment to see now actual market trends coming into play because of like the fear and greed index that we see in the normal market, which has largely been insulated. Crypto has largely been insulated from.
So,
No, I
okay,
think you're completely right.
Jeremiah, I'll pick your brain on this. So I have a theory with crypto and everything, with what's going on in the general market. What is yours? And then I'll tell you mine. Like, do you think crypto is going to go up, or is it going to get completely annihilated with the rest of the economy?
Well, I mean, it depends on how deep down a rabbit hole we go with that. I think that crypto is an asset that is in absolutely being held as a value store by wealthy elite and by institutions and funds and all of that. Like that's absolutely fact. I think that just like any other type of value store or savings account, that when the going gets tough and you need to pull in liquidity, that it's an easy place to pull liquidity from, but it's also one of the first places that you rebuild liquidity in order to retain the value store because it has the largest potential growth options or stability options. So the way that like if something does happen with the market where we do see a large crash, there's no doubt that it tanks Bitcoin, which by tanking Bitcoin, it tanks the rest of crypto because every crypto still correlates fully to Bitcoin. Even Ethereum is still technically an alt because of
100%
that.
until it flips
So
it.
yeah, so and that may never happen. Who knows?
Right.
So so anyway, it's not anytime soon. So so 100% it gets tanked when the rest of the market does. But I think what you end up actually seeing is that it recovers faster than the regular market does, because that's going to be the first place that value stores get covered once immediate liquidity risk ends up being covered. So once like margin calls happen and cascading failures or whatever end up happening where people are bankrupted or companies are bankrupted and shares are traded and liquidity is moved and once the market starts to stabilize again, things start to kind of like normalize. Crypto recovers faster than the regular market because the regular market has more variables directly impacting it that keep it down longer, like payroll and labor forces and equity markets versus security and debt and things like that. Whereas crypto as Bitcoin essentially this is the only one. When I'm saying crypto, I mean Bitcoin. No major funds are really investing in anything else. But Bitcoin is the value store, so it's going to be the place where people are going to be dumping any additional funds that they potentially have in order to insulate themselves from potential crashes in the future. So Bitcoin, I think, is still crypto. I still think is faster on the bounce, but it will tank just as hard, potentially harder, as a result.
Yeah, that's so because the reason I bring this up is I don't know if you saw the Biden want for the IRS to be able to peek into people's bank accounts that have either $600 or have had $600 worth of transactions. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Oh yeah, that came out a couple days ago. That yeah, he wants the IRS to be able to have access to people's bank accounts that have $600 in it or have had $600 worth of transactions in the last year. So my thought process is, the reason I ask this is that I'm sorry if that comes to fruition. You're going to have people that take their money out of their banks and probably throw it into crypto or NFTs or they're going to hide that money. Let's face it. Like I don't know anybody that would be like, yeah, that's okay. You can look into my bank account.
You also gotta look too, like Robinhood's now just announced their launch of their crypto wallet. They don't allow sending from an address. But so my only complaint with that is at the end of the day, you've still provided a social to those organizations, Coinbase as well, Crypto.com as well. If you look at something like a MetaMask wallet, there's no sign up. You just get a seed phrase. There's no social tied to it. There's no name tied to it. So
Well, that's because it's an actual trust, like a separate trust wallet.
trust wallet.
Whereas Robinhood and Coinbase are integrating their wallets into their exchanges. So it's the same thing. Like I can do like an Exodus wallet or a Ledger or whatever, and I don't have to do any KYC. But
Which is
that, yeah. I don't know that I would agree that we would see. I absolutely agree that that there is a subset of people that if the U.S. government is actively checking their bank account balances to see about transactions, and it's not like this one-off thing for some other reason, but like it's a known thing that's actually happening, or people believe it's actually happening, then they definitely will pull their money out in cash. I don't think that they will go cryptocurrency. That the fact is that cryptocurrency in a 4 trillion or in the $400 trillion global economy, cryptocurrency makes up about 3.2 trillion roughly. So like we're talking about a less than 1% of the entire global economy is all of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, NFTs, everything. So realistically, like cryptocurrency just doesn't have the end. People still don't trust it. The majority of Americans, at least, believe that it's still used predominantly for hiding kids, hiding sex traffic victims and drugs on the internet. Like it's not. It still has a massive stigma attached to it that it'll take probably another 5 or 6 years to fully shake, and it will take probably the federal government coming forward and saying we're fully accepting this as a currency or some other type of parallel transaction in order for it to happen.
Oh, well, so I actually didn't finish my thought on this. No, the reason I was asking that is that I kind of go along with you in the sense that it'll, like, crypto will crash. Like I mean, it's already been crashing here and there. You know, just the fact that Bitcoin lost, like, what was it, 20,000, almost $30,000 in a couple months, like, that's ridiculous. That, I'm sorry to anybody that bought Bitcoin at like $62,000. Like that hurts my heart. But I do think that it will be the thing that bounces back faster because it is something that, like, my husband and I were talking about it. Like, we have money in a savings account that gets like what 1.5% interest on a yearly.
You'd be lucky if you got 1.5% right now.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think at one point it was a 1.5 interest savings or something like that because we have a credit union and stuff, and so. But I was like, why would I want to keep my money in a savings account that gains only this much interest when I could put it into crypto and it'll actually gain fast? It'll gain that in like a day. Like,
You can stake it and all this other stuff.
yeah.
Like,
So, I mean, it's just an interesting little, it's a little theory that I have working right now that crypto might become the new savings account type thing where, you know, it's a high interest yielding thing that you don't have to just not touch it for 30 years. So I don't know. It's interesting. And
I think it should. I just don't think that the adoption will be there at that level. I think that it can, and it has a great opportunity to. But I just think that most people in America, I can't speak globally, but most people in America, I think, still have a complete disconnect with the value, like the fundamental value of cryptocurrency, or a like a stigma that's just been crushed into their head for the last 5, 10 years about it being a scam, it being used for illicit purposes only, it being for criminals and anonymous and things like that, and people just don't want to touch it. I think that's changing. I do think it's changing, but I just don't think it's changing anytime soon.
So if the crypto crashes, does that mean all the NFTs crash too?
Yeah, so this is actually really interesting. Yes and no. I was actually looking at an article today that did a study on this because of the some of the craziness and volatility that we've seen in the market this year. NFTs, because they're like this tertiary marketplace that exists on top of cryptocurrencies, they should change in price based on the value of the cryptocurrency that they're trading in real time if you're actually trying to manage your margin, right? Like if you're treating your stockpile of NFTs as your inventory and you're trying to flip them like you would in a store where you're actually have an inventory and you're selling things at a margin, then if your supply is worth less because it was purchased with the US dollar and the US dollar is now worth less, then you increase the price that you need to get from it in order to make sure you maintain the same margin, right? Just like inflation. But largely NFTs are not doing that because people don't treat. Yeah, exactly.
As Ethereum goes up, people sell out. As it goes down, people buy more. The way that people look at it is their mindset right now is 1 ETH equals 1 ETH. It's not fiat. They don't reference fiat at all. And Ethereum's an Ethereum. It has no dollar value. And that's the scary part because like you have these billionaires who have become billionaires overnight in the NFT industry by flipping 600-700 of the same JPEG, and then they don't pull out any of that money. They just buy more. They buy different. They add what they refer to as blue chip NFTs, like Bored Apes. I see we have a mutant in the audience here too. So it's just like it's a fascinating concept on the
It
finance
really is.
industry because it's so different. As Ethereum goes up, people start to liquidate because then they feel like, oh, now 1 ETH is worth more. But as it goes down, the argument's 1 ETH equals 1 ETH, so nothing's changed. Because when you
And,
enter a price, the value of the NFT, you actually have to pay money to cancel the sale price. So most people just leave it. And then some people will buy, some people won't. As the price goes down, they feel like they're getting a better deal because that price is set regardless. So it's wild.
and so on top of, and then like running parallel to that is the idea that when people are pricing things at lower, like if Ethereum drops, like right now, Ethereum has dropped, and things that people are when people are pricing new sales now, new transactions now, they're putting them at lower volumes, or I mean at lower sale prices, even though they're effectively pricing themselves out of the market by doing that, because when Ethereum comes back up, they're going to be picked off super easily because the floor is going to rise with it. So it's this interesting, like it's this weird like infancy market where the people that are in it aren't applying like the basic mechanics of running like a store, of like having sales margin and understanding loss and inventory and like cost basis. They're just like flipping based on like they're just trading like dollars in exchange on an exchange, instead of them trading individual, like obviously they know that they're trading individual assets that are worth a specific amount of money, but to them, the market itself is run very much like they're exchanging dollars for Ethereum or Ethereum for dollars, as opposed to them exchanging something else for Ethereum that is also trading in dollars.
You guys have officially just blown my brain. Like, and plus I'm over here reading Johnny Rocket. Man, you did good. You did very good. But so he was asking, should he sell his Bitcoin? And we will never sell you to either sell or buy or whatever. That's not our place. That definitely has to be your own journey, especially when it comes to Bitcoin. Given the fact that he bought Bitcoin in 2013 for $65 to $78 when it dropped from a high of 200, only got it because a customer told me about it. That's freaking phenomenal. That is so cool. But then we also have, and I'm sure Jeremiah has some thoughts on this. Where did the comment go? GS says, I'm heavily invested in crypto. I have 65 million crypto coins. They are all sheep coins worth $400, but it feels good. You have 65 million. That's incredible.
Beautiful.
That is incredible. He goes, he's like, sheep, let's get to 10 cents. Heck yeah. I mean, heck, you really only need like 2 cents, maybe 5 cents.
Literally needs like 3-4 cents and you'll be never working again.
That's fantastic.
I think you can't be a crypto trader at all without having that 1 or 2 coins, or maybe even a few more in your portfolio that are those random long shots that you threw $50 or $100 for and got a couple thousand or a couple 100,000. They're just there, and they'll probably not be ever worth anything, but who knows? They might end up going up, and you just kind of forget about them and you don't ever do anything with them. They just kind of sit there and likely lose money, but at the end of the day, even if they lose everything, you're out, a couple $100 at the most, and it is what it is. So,
cough.
But I don't fault anybody for
cough.
doing that. Yeah. Like I think that I think that people get lucky, right? Like I had Doge, I sat on Doge, I had some earlier this year. I don't have that anymore. I have some still, but far less than I did, and that was nice. So I hope that everyone gets to experience that. Like that's a win's a win, regardless of what makes it happen. So, but with that being said, like, it's about covering your risk and all that too. So I don't know that I would dump like, if I had $30,000, I don't know if I would dump that in SHIB, but if I, maybe do 29,950 in Bitcoin and then the other $50 in SHIB, something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's you say that. This might be a little bit of confirmation bias, but I feel like the NFT space is really starting to pick up traction and really blow up, and I feel that a sizable portion of this traction that it's gaining is from a lot of the FOMO that was created through the crypto frenzy over the last 8-9 months. There's a lot of people that knew about Dogecoin, knew about Bitcoin over the last couple of years, but blew it off as fancy internet money. But I think over the last 12 months, those people that knew of it but didn't really buy into it, those people I feel over the last 12 months have really changed their mind. But, by then, they've already missed their opportunity to hop on, if Bitcoin when it was in the 3 digits or Dogecoin when it was fractions of a penny. I feel that now that they're understanding the technology and the potential, there's a sense of FOMO around, this NFT space might be the next thing. And I feel that's a big driver for some of the momentum, at least that I'm seeing, or why it's taken off so quickly. But again, that might just be confirmation bias. Those people and spaces that I'm participating in, it's people that know about the NFT space. So yeah, it might be just some confirmation bias there.
No, I think that's accurate.
That's
I think
fine.
I would agree with that. I think that that's the reason why the Cardano, Solana, and Algo NFT space for sure has started to tick up. Because because of the lower transaction fees and the fact that it's an infant market, they are much easier entry point than like OpenSea on Ethereum and something like that. So I definitely think that in those alts, that's absolutely driven more by that FOMO or that hope that they hit that golden NFT that makes them an instant millionaire type of thing. Because you never know, you know. I juggle the NFTs in Cardano as well, and if I am to become an instant millionaire because of a golden NFT, I'll be very happy. But I also have other investments in crypto. I think that one thing, like on that note, that is makes me a little bit nervous is that is that the last time that we went through a mid-cycle halve and the bear cycle drop was 2018, and we saw a 46% correction off the top from Bitcoin, off the high of the peak of the bull market down to the lowest point of the bear. And obviously, anytime that happens, you have a lot of people that end up selling their positions completely out. You have people that are underwater that came in high, that were trying to ride that FOMO wave and dropped out or came in too late. But importantly, like the NFT market in 2018 was nowhere near the size and scope or scale that it exists now, and it was only in Ethereum, and now we're talking about other cryptos that are also going to have impact, that also have liquidity. So I'm nervous about what ends up happening to the NFT market in 6 months when we are presumably riding high on the bull cycle, reaching closer to the all-time high for Bitcoin, about to crest over the roller coaster hill to drop down to bear, and along with a lot of the liquidity being pulled out of those NFT marketplaces and being pushed into Bitcoin in order to push it higher to its all-time high, and the alt season dying, which is what we consistently see with the run-ups. We also end up seeing NFTs as a whole, the entire value proposition of the marketplace, tank until the bear market normalizes and stabilizes itself. And how many people basically end up being bag holders with worthless JPEGs until that resolves, or maybe forever, because the JPEGs just never retain their value again. Since we've never entered a bear market cycle with NFT marketplace at the level it is currently.
So I think another factor that ties into the crypto NFT space and why the valuations are like where they are, it is all the quantitative easing and printer go burr, so to speak. Is there's so much money that has just been printed that people receiving their stimulus checks or what have you, they don't know what to do with it. They're instead of just sitting on it, they're taking this money and investing it. And I think that's a big reason why valuations are where they are right now. In the cryptocurrency and NFT space, and even the trading cards like sports trading cards, Pokemon cards. Those over the last year and a half have also blown up, and I feel that's driven largely because there's just so much money in circulation. And yeah, there's, in my opinion, going to be a major correction. I would not be surprised if Bitcoin goes sub to 20,000. This drop from 60 plus to uh, the sub 4,000s or 40,000s, I feel was not the drop. I think it's going to tank in the next couple of months, possibly sub to 20,000. But I think that's been a big driver for where the valuations are. People are just wanting to put their money in something, driving the prices up. So this correction should be interesting to say the least.
So you think that the cycle that we're currently in is that the we're not even at the bottom of the bull cycle mountain yet. We're still running the valley between the mids.
I think so. I think this, from what was it, like the April or May highs, and then the subsequent drop. I think that was not the actual correction. I think it is going to be taking a much deeper dive.
Well, I mean, the bear cycle always has the dive associated with it. The 20, like I said, 2018 dropped us 46%. I think that with the amount of traction that and extra money, the new money and the new wallets that came into Bitcoin over the last 6 months, I think that there's definitely accelerated risk there. There's definitely, it's very likely that we have a huge drop off the top once it happens. Um, I think that 46% in 2018 is probably an easy hit. It's probably closer to 56, maybe even 58% off the top. But that presumes an off the top of the bull market high, which would be at least the all-time high, 62, probably closer to 70, maybe even 80,000. So we're dropped 58% off of that. Then we're looking at around 34,000, 32,000 as the drop. But that's presuming that we're at the bottom of the mountain now and we're going to start climbing, which, like I said, we're about 2 months late, 2 to 3 months late on already. But if you're saying the theory is that we're still in the valley, we haven't done the initial correction to get to the bottom of the mountain, which is historically has to happen, and that we're not in that now. So we're expecting another drop to below 20. That means that you're predicting that we actually never even see the all-time high in the bull cycle, right? Because we're not going to hit 62 again.
Yeah, well, I think eventually we will, but I think right now we're in a bull trap.
Not in the bull cycle though. Not in the mid cycle this time,
No,
basically.
no. And I could be completely wrong, so not financial advice whatsoever. But just I feel that it will go sub 20,000. There's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines, myself included, to buy in. In the even sub or lower 20,000 end. Um, Now that the technology again has been more widely adopted, I think over the long term, like 5+ years, it will be hitting over 80,000. I think, but before it hits that, I do think it's going to drop below 20,000.
Interesting. I mean, who knows, right? Like the problem with crypto is that for all its mathematic brilliance of being able to predict its movements and the assuredness that you have on a large scale, crypto always goes up mantra, that type of thing. It's still, even if you expand the chart of the Bitcoin chart down to its large, like zoom as far out as you possibly can, you're still only looking at about 12 or so years of actual market data to support any theories that you're running with, which is
Yep.
barely enough to make a reasonable assumption on TA to begin with. So, the only sure thing, obviously, is the halvening. What happens in between the halvening is anybody's guess. So I'm going off of like historical repetition cycles of of mid-cycle bull runs, but at this point, like with the amount of people coming in at the beginning of the year, there's no telling what that actually looks like anymore. We could be
And
completely different
that's
every
a
year.
big part of it. I feel that so many folks FOMOed into it without exactly understanding that what cryptocurrencies are. And once it starts tanking, I feel there's going to be a massive sell off because of that. People that FOMOed in, taking their profits, and
You don't think that already happened at some level when we saw
at,
the drop from 60 to 30?
so I do think it happened at some level, but I feel there's still more uh, people out there that are not, as that are not as convicted, but are still slightly positive, that are hoping that it will do another run up to like 60 plus, and that are very close to selling. Like, that's just my opinion. But at the end of the day, though, I think the underlying technology, blockchain, which is what really is driving a lot of this space. I feel that companies, institutions have over the last couple of years started looking into how they can leverage this technology. I think Bitcoin cryptocurrencies are inherently tied into the blockchain technology and the value that companies have in blockchain. And I feel in, like, over the next 5 or 10 years, the investments companies are making in blockchain will start seeing it materialize, and I think that's what is going to be what pushes crypto to the new highs.
Well, but blockchain technology isn't the same as cryptocurrency. So like blockchain technology is in it's used now for in various industries for largely for inventory management and tracking and things like that. But it's still in use. It's just fully centralized and
Right,
has no cryptocurrency attachment to it in
right.
order
Mhm.
to encourage miners or value in the decentralized sphere. So I think that blockchain's further acceptance of blockchain or further mainstream uh, education around blockchain does encourage people to look at cryptocurrency potentially with new, less jaded or stigmatized eyes, as far as like like the relation of Bitcoin or as a to the criminal underworld of the globe versus it just being a cryptocurrency that sits on an immutable blockchain. But I don't know that I would agree that blockchain's further adoption in industries in general over the next 5 years will be a direct driver for Bitcoin's price or value, as much as it just encourages people to trust blockchain technology and cryptocurrency and potentially buy in, which could indirectly, obviously, impact Bitcoin value. But I don't think I think it's less direct than a one-to-one.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, you guys have definitely. I mean, I do agree. I think Bitcoin. I think it's probably gonna go sub 20. I do agree. Antimatter. Like I don't know. Like there's just something with it. Like all these hedge funds and everything that have to cash out their assets and to cover MOAS and things like that. Like I think we are gonna see a sub 20 because of everything going on in the market in general. Um, I do want to call out Johnny Rocket real quick for the $50 super sticker. That is a very cool transforming hippo. Like I don't know if everyone's on YouTube or not seeing this thing, but I kind of wish this was an NFT. That is actually really cool. Um, Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It's so greatly appreciated. You're an amazing human being. Especially since you did it yesterday too. Like you're an amazing person. But no, yeah, I do agree that we are going to see some kind of dip, and I kind of hope for it. You know, I hope it is that, you know, after MOAS, like, you know, we do see a dip in crypto. So then a lot of us that, you know, we want to get into Bitcoin or Ethereum or these other, you know, higher priced cryptos at the time, or even the NFTs or anything, you can actually do it, right? Like, you know, before, I mean, I don't think it's going to be long that they're dipped down, because you are going to have people that FOMO into it and just going to increase the price of them pretty drastically. But I think it'll be really interesting to see, because I keep seeing, you know, Bitcoin is supposed to go to like what 100K or something, even more astronomical than that. And you know, Ethereum's gonna probably keep pace with it, if not surpass it, because of its utility and its 2.0 and everything. So I don't know. I'm really excited for the crypto and the NFT world, because, you know, like we've talked about, NFTs aren't just the digital art. And I know, D, I saw your comment in here that you're like, I just don't understand the appeal of buying digital art that just sits on your computer. I did see that comment. And so and we have to remember, it's not just, you know, little 8-bit pictures that you're buying NFTs on. Like, we can put them to all kinds of things, like real life, you know, art pieces, real estate, cars, you name it. NFTs can actually be used for. So they're just a fascinating way of doing smart contracts. So on that, with the blockchain, Jeremiah, I keep seeing this Plyth thing, Plyth. Do you guys know anything about that? Like, someone's been tracking the blockchain of AMC trades or something. Have you guys seen anything like that?
I personally have not seen anything about a Plyth. I haven't been paying attention to AMC, and I don't know, since maybe February was the last time I looked at AMC. So I've no idea. But no, I haven't seen anything with that. I'm curious. So what? Quick note on like the value of NFT, and I totally get the idea of like, why does it matter that that you own an image that stays in your computer? I like fully relate with that. And I can tell you that I have very few NFTs. I own very few NFTs that don't have a price tag attached to them that I wouldn't immediately flip if someone were to pay me enough to do so and it made sense to do so. That said, there are like the smart contract side of NFTs do add functionality, especially in like a good example is in the gaming world, where there are NFTs now that have mobile games or other games that are attached to them. That when you buy an NFT, you're buying a character for that game, or you're buying a piece of hardware or weapon for your character that's in that game, and you're uploading it through you own that. Like, so when you're in that game and you're playing that character, or a game is being built fully around the concept of these NFTs, you are playing that game with, you know, multi player game with thousands of other people that all own their own NFTs that were purchased with real money that were used to outfit their player and make them stronger or just look cooler or whatever the case may be. So gamification is a huge part of like the
That's gonna be the next
value.
big thing for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, we're already
absolutely.
seeing like Vegas host Zed Run, like drinking events where they're quite literally just drinking and gambling on real Zed Run races when horse races are not happening. Like stuff like
Yeah.
that is just going to continue to add to it. I think the gamification you mentioned is sweet because look at EIC 3228, I believe is the token that's releasing. That's going
Yeah,
to
the
allow for
royalty.
Yep. And it also allows for that aspect of additional kind of adjustments. So where you can freeze the metadata but still add accessories. So now think you can buy a blank avatar and they can sell multiple party hats, multiple crowns, multiple Santa hats at the holidays, and only during that time. So it kind of just allows you to get flexible and create unique rarities beyond what's just on the generative blockchain too. So it's like when people get obsessed of even like you think back to a game like a RuneScape or World of Warcraft where people play in-game currency and will actually pay like fiat for in-game currency, this is just going to continue to extend those capabilities and make it that much more applicable.
Yeah, I mean, and the royalty one is interesting because royalties and NFTs have been around for a bit since we EIP 2.7 something. I don't remember what it 29.70. I don't remember, but it was mandated to be like within the centralized controller of like the marketplace, right? Like OpenSea or whoever managed the policy IDs of the tokens would end up being the ones who are responsible for collecting and distributing royalties, which means that for the most part they just didn't happen. So the idea of like a more automated system using smart contracts to distribute royalties is brilliant because it's the beginning of like the use of NFTs for like DRM management or like imagine a world where a artist builds an album that is on SoundCloud or something like that, and they're fully independent artists on SoundCloud or YouTube or whatever. And instead of them releasing it to Spotify and having to go that route to release their album, they can release teasers as NFTs, and they can encourage people to essentially buy into their album, their unique, digitally signed album that
Well, did
only
you see
those people
Tory
would own.
Lanez, the rapper, released 1,000 or 1 million copies of When It's Dark, his most recent album, for $1 each?
Yeah. So yeah, same concept of like the independent artists being able to circumvent the
And
delivery
he's
systems
independent.
that
That's
have
why
been
I brought it up.
established.
He
Yep.
recently left that industry and he sold out in 3 minutes. And now every holder was actually able to resell that album for $30 or more, which is, think about that. That return is absolutely bananas, especially for $1 cost on a place that has no gas, because you would actually use USDC for it. So it was just like a really interesting take. I think the unlockables behind it too gave you an exclusive music video. So it's like you were one of a million people who saw that music video that night. Like it's all just really cool how it's progressing, and I just think there's so much room for growth with the industry.
Yeah, no, the growth potential in the entire NFT industry across every blockchain that has implemented them is huge. Like it's absolutely like a critical part of the history of the crypto universe, basically. I do have a question, Kenna. So if you theoretically, hypothetically, I'm not going to get deep into like MOAS and GME stuff and all of that. Hypothetically, let's assume that MOAS doesn't happen. Do you think that crypto still tanks,
Oh
like
yeah.
under 20K at that point?
Yeah, because of everything else economically. I mean, we were looking at the housing market, we're looking at stocks, we're looking, this is all based on just historical reference of my, history repeating itself in the economic stance. Like, yeah, I do think it'll still dip down that far. Not that anybody, if MOAS doesn't happen, you won't have anybody to bounce it back as quick, but I do think we could still see it sub 20. And I've thought that since February. Like that's just kind of been my thing. So, and as it was like running up to 60, I was like, this thing's coming back down below 20. I don't know when. I can't say when. But it's just based on, like I said, real estate, they're going to be liquidating those assets. And if the market crashes, which it probably will no matter what, MOAS or not, which I think the MOAS will be the thing that does break the camel's back. But I think that a lot of institutions are getting over leveraged. Banks are going crazy. The whole everything with Evergrande that's kind of kicking off the global crisis. So I don't know. Like it's gonna be fascinating. I hope I'm wrong. And to feed into this, Geo, Geo, you were so silly. I hope you're still in here because I didn't just see it, but this was my chance to get into it. So he says after MOAS, no gold, but Bitcoin. No, I still say gold, silver, land, real estate, like after MOAS, because everything will probably be dipped down and, low prices. Tangible things are always a go-to. As Sierra totally just... Hi.
Hello. How we doing?
We're okay.
Hey, do you think computer share is gonna be our golden ticket?
I am not touching this topic because I am not getting in the middle of everybody's fight on this.
I'm just curious your opinion. No fight.
No. Computer share, I have nothing with it. Like I am still the simple dumb ape that will buy, hold, nothing extra, nothing to trigger it except for what we've been doing, because what we've been doing has been working, right? We've been bleeding them out bit by bit, and the fact that we have others in other plays that are also bleeding them out, it's working. So to me, in my own opinion, because it does mess with the liquidity, it does, um, you know, I don't support it personally. I'm not transferring my shares because I want to be able to, move shares as I see fit, not have them held up. I did see someone say it wasn't taking 2 weeks or anything, but personally, me, no, I have no skin in the game. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, guys. I won't do it. If you want to do it, that's on you. But I don't tell anybody what to and what to do. It's not my place.
Never financial advice.
Never. But no, I don't. There is no golden ticket. I think it's just another hype thing, honestly. Because we've seen this time and time and time again. We're at 9 months, guys. This is going to be the golden ticket. Oh no, this regulation is going to be the golden ticket. Oh no, this date's going to be a golden ticket. Oh no, this.
Yeah, this is true.
I buy, hold, do my DD. Period.
Hey everyone, I gotta drop here. Thanks for having me. I appreciate talking with y'all.
Thank you, Easy. By the way, guys,
Hey, Easy.
before Easy goes, remember to go follow him and go look up his NFTs that he's been doing. I'm pulling him back up on YouTube. He's had this never-ending collab, and then he also has this little storybook thing that I think is epic. I'm going to just call it the never-ending story. I'm renaming your NFT. I'm sorry. But that where you
I'm all for it.
Where you can actually just, like, whenever you own the piece, you can actually write, and then whenever you sell it, somebody else gets to write, but they can't mess with your stuff. So, Easy, I appreciate you being here. It's been awesome.
No, of course, it's been awesome. I appreciate the conversation. It's great talking with you all.
See you
Good chatting
around.
with you, man. See ya.
Awesome. Have a good one. See ya.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, that's just, I don't know. That's just my take on it, guys. I don't know.
Thoughts I could share that.
What'd you say?
I have some thoughts I could share. I could put out there regarding the whole DRS and computer share stuff. But before I do, Jeremiah, I thought you were. I think you were asking about just wrapping up that final thought around the crypto Bitcoin and taking a sub 20. I just wanted to chime in. I think I think the run up over the last 12 months has, because of the FOMO, I think it really started as a big pump and dump, but because of the FOMO, personally I think it went much higher than it probably would have otherwise. And I think there's still I think the rug has not fully been pulled, and that's why I think it will still go like a sub 20,000 regardless of like any sort of Evergrande economic MOAS not happening. I think it's been a massive pump and dump. However, having said that, I think the valuation will. I think when Bitcoin fully matures, I think the valuation will surpass what it is right now, substantially. I think it just grew too much too fast, that there has not been a substantial correction for it to really naturally grow, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think like I'm a strong believer, even with like the chaos and the FOMO and things like that we've seen impact the price and impact volume of cryptocurrency transactions over the last especially 9 months, but even a little bit before that. I've still been a big believer in the historical value that tracking to the mid-cycle bull and bear runs provide. And I could be way wrong on that, but that's just like my personal take. So I do agree that we ran up way higher than we should have. When I was speaking with people in January, February about Bitcoin, and everyone was getting in and super excited because it was Bitcoin to the moon. I was consistently surprised by us continuing to push through all-time highs. I expected us to hit an all-time high, but I expected us to stable and then start to dip again around 47, and then pull back to around 20, like 28 to 30. And then when we went to 60 and everyone was like ecstatic saying that we're never going to see 30,000 again, I had said that we're definitely going to see 30,000 again, that we're likely to be 37, 36 by June, that we've created a bubble around the all-time high, that this is not a natural growth percentage for Bitcoin. This is way over what it should be. And we did. We saw that consolidation. We saw that drop back in June, and we saw it drop back even more into like right at 29.9, I think was the low it hit. And I think that drop to 29.9 was largely due to the people that had created that bubble getting out as quickly as possible because they had very little faith in the stability of crypto and weren't, well, not even necessarily having little faith in the stability of crypto, just not used to waking up in the morning and seeing their portfolio worth 30% less than it was yesterday, which is not an unusual thing to experience in crypto. It takes some getting used to for sure, to not chase the dragon up or chase the dragon down and just be okay holding as is and waiting it out and being just trusting that it will recover and all that. So I think like my personal take is that we have seen that roll down, that roll down was in June, that now we're seeing the slight bubble up at the base of the bull cycle mountain, and that I do think we dip a little bit more. I think we probably drop to somewhere between 34, 38 potentially, before we just suddenly like spike up for the bull cycle run up, which I think that we end up hitting another all-time high, probably 70, maybe 80,000. Although I don't even think we go that high, probably just over our all-time high now because we shouldn't have set it that high to begin with.
You saying this year or this cycle?
No, this cycle for sure, not this year. I think late Q2. By late Q2 next year, we probably see that, and then it the market drops out for the bear cycle. That's my thought. I don't think that we see under 20, but I mean, everyone, who knows?
Exactly. If we knew, we'd be moving. Well,
yeah.
Say you're not already, but
I do know in the long term it'll be up more. So.
Oh yeah, eventually.
I'm with you there.
I can't count on.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at
I
a
just
long
don't know
term,
what it'll do before it gets to that for sure.
It'll be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting to see.
exactly. And the one comment that I had around like the whole computer shared DRS thing. So, I will admit, I'll put this out there. I was wrong on some comments I made. I think it was on Reddit a couple of days ago. I was slightly uninformed around like the whole computer shared DRS. I thought part of it was you're registering the shares physically, but I did more looking into the DRS, and no, that's more of an electronic registration of the shares. So in many ways, it's like what we are, what the ape community has been talking about in terms of creating a NFT dividend. For Bitcoin, where or for GameStop, where it cannot be duplicated, it can't be forged, it can't be created by an unauthorized party, and DRS being your shares. The white paper that Computer Share has on this it's essentially you create this verified electronic share, and you have a digital right to it. So in theory, it seems plausible that if every GameStop share in existence is digitally registered with Computer Share, it will be easy for Ryan Cohen and the GameStop team to transfer all those shares to a different an NFT. I think will be very easy for them to do that because it's all digitally certified. You know, if you buy like a valuable coin and it comes with a certificate of authenticity, that's essentially what DRS is. It's a electronic certification that hey, you're entitled to this share. You are an owner. So I don't know if that talks to Sarah, what you're alluding to around the whole DRS, whether it's photo or not. Computer share, I think there's a lot of exuberant apes that are wanting to run with it. Others that are a little more apprehensive, that want more facts before they really move forward. I think this is just creating conflict, and yeah, the internet has been awful the last couple of days because of it.
Good points.
What is your take on it, Sarah? Sierra. I can never remember how to say your name. I'm so sorry. Sierra.
Yeah, I'm essentially in the same boat. I'm 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door for computer share. For some reasons you stated too that I do want my stocks to be just a little bit more liquid than what I think computer share is now, but at the same time there's enough, I guess, credence behind it that I mean, theoretically speaking, if the entire retail float was registered in computer share, well, I mean, something would have to happen, right?
Oh yeah, I mean 100%. I mean we're almost touching that from what I saw. Someone posted.
Yeah. I mean, the math to get there isn't like entirely impossible. So I mean, I guess we will see in the next month or so.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all just we're on uncharted territory. So I mean, the best thing we can do is
theoretically it all makes sense, but will it play out like that? We'll have to
right.
see.
Right, and that's the thing is like that's why I don't try to hype anything. Like I don't get excited about anything anymore, and it's probably really terrible. But I mean think about it. Every month or so, there's something to cause drama, something to cause division, or some kind of weird hey look over here type thing. And so I think I've just become numb to it, and I do look into it, and then I just kind of form my own opinion about it. And it's more or less in the idea of, do I believe in it? And if I do, okay, cool. How do I portray that? And if I don't believe in it, do I say anything? Because now it's like if you say something and you don't agree with it, you're going to get backlash on it. And so, and the last thing I want to do is create division by any means, by any stretch. So, I mean, yeah, that's why it's like if you asked me today and it's like, well, okay, I can give my 2 cents on it, but I'm a neutral party. I try to stay as neutral as possible. I see people that want to do it. I see people that don't want to do it. I see both sides. And ultimately you have to kind of decide what's best for you in that sense. Like you said, like having, your shares liquid or, in the case MOAS does happen or do you not care? I mean, I know a lot of GME people don't care. And so, they'll lock them down. They don't care at all. But at the same time, does this, I saw some stuff where, it could affect the, where they might have to offer more shares or something like that, or do a share split or, there's just some other really weird things that are going around that I have to really research. But, I rate as much as I can, and it goes by very, very fast on most days. Like my notifications, I was tagged in something between Conway and a few others, and my brain was not working fast enough to keep up with them today. So yeah, I mean, ultimately you do have to do your own DD. Yeah, take what everyone says with a grain of salt, but try to research for it. It's the best we can do, because someone else might find something different than what any of us can find for sure.
So I on Twitter, I just sent you a link to the fact sheet that I was alluding to. I guess I called it a white paper, but I guess technically it's a fact sheet. I don't know if you would be able to share that link in this Twitter space. But essentially, I think ultimately the situation it is with GameStop and these shares, and I don't want to take up too much space just talking about GameStop, but there's the going theory is there's these GameStop shares that are held within the uh, DTCC, and essentially, if I buy a share and I sell it within the DTCC, they kind of just transfer internally their ledger. They update their ledger. Hey, antimatter had this share. Now it belongs to Kenna, and they just update that within their ledger, but there is no actual movement of the share, so to speak. Now there's also a way to get these shares physically. So instead of it being like in street name, the share being registered in street name, you can have it registered in your name. Now you have a physical certificate, but if you want to sell that, then it gets a little more tricky. You need to, or I should say, it gets a little more involved. You need to then mail that physical certificate to your broker. They have their internal process to update the name, and usually it ends up in the DTCC. The direct registration system (DRS) with computer share, it essentially removes the physical certificates, and it's an electronic certification that you own the share. So the idea behind it is to get rid of the physical, make it electronic, and again, this really sounds a lot like what the ape community has been pushing for the NFT. Like, let me get an NFT dividend so that it's in my name, that it can't be fudged by these market makers, can't be messed around with otherwise, and it's something that I own. And so I think there is potential where if this DRS system really is working as I think it would, if you register a share with computer share and DRS through DRS, behind the scenes the share comes out of the DTCC. If it's held there, then it gets registered in your name. Now, one of the open questions is, does doing this really reduce the liquidity of that stock, of that share? I don't know. Because you could still sell it, I think the liquidity should not be impacted. But I could be wrong. I don't know. But ultimately, that's what DRS really is. It's just an electronic uh, method to valid or verify that you own the share, that it's in your name, and it's not held by the DTCC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just to shift a little bit. I've never been sold on the crypto dividend for GameStop. I guess my concern's always been like how to prove identity, especially using on a public blockchain. Everybody was claiming they'd be on Ethereum, but I mean, how do you prove identity on Ethereum? Aside from, I mean, there's things like ENS and whatnot, but I know Wish did it, but they didn't use a public blockchain. They created their own. I think it's called T0. I haven't looked into it enough, but yeah, I'm not sold on the dividend. Or no, sorry, yeah, Overstock, not Wish.
Yeah, well, they didn't create T0, they bought T0. But
Oh, really?
yeah, they bought an exchange in order to be able to mint wallets on the exchange to save them money. So basically, the logic behind the way that they implemented it was they were theoretically going to have a 1 to 10 ratio for dividend. So if you had at least 10 shares, then you'd have one dividend issue for every 10 shares, basically. And if you had less than 10, then you didn't get anything at all. They would just mint a wallet and then throw the NFT dividend into that wallet, and then that wallet would live on the T0 exchange until you claimed it. And if you never claimed it, then the NFT would just live there in perpetuity and would be yours to claim whenever you chose to do it. But because of the mechanics of the delivery of that and how it was essentially going to have to be like a snapshot in time of ownership, but that it needed to be claimed as ownership in order to be given it, the SEC ruled that in order to do it, they were allowed to, but they would need to put in the writer for the release that the NFT could not be traded for a minimum of 6 months after issuance. So basically, they had to be sat on in order to ensure that there was time for people to claim the dividend, like a reasonable amount of time for people to claim it, so that way the T0 market wasn't flooded with dividends and essentially crashing the price of the dividend of the NFT, which so would be worth less than it was for the people who initially sold it, because it wouldn't be a one-to-one like stable coin. It would be a fluid market value. When he heard that, the CEO of Overstock basically threw up his hands in the air and said, "Fuck this, I'm out. I can't deal with it anymore. The SEC is going to screw me over for life." And then 3 days later, he sold his entire position in Overstock and left the company. And then they never did the NFT dividend because they realized that it was just too much work, and the new team that came in were just like, "We're not doing this," and they scrapped the whole thing. But I'm with you. I also do not think that there is any real legs. I've spoken about it before, but I don't really think there's any real legs to the concept of NFT dividend for GameStop. And honestly, I would be, as an investor in GameStop, for someone who believes that there is value in the long-term play of GameStop, I would be disappointed if the money that we have given them and I have given them as an investor in GameStop went to issuing a single usage NFT dividend that does nothing for me, as opposed to building out some broad scope NFT marketplace that is integral to the future of the company, that continues to invest value back in the company and makes my shares worth more than whatever potential MOAS may or may not happen.
Yeah, I agree. I always thought that it was more likely that they release something like a marketplace where games would be tradable and they'd maybe have their own currency or something like that.
Yeah, I spoke about in a previous space. I don't remember if this one or another one, but like the stuff that they've done with Loop Ring looks pretty interesting, and I think that there is some value. And like I do have some theories around where we likely see like a roadmap or timeline to release of what's going to end up happening. But I think that first step is probably something like they don't need to release everything all at once, but they do need to make sure that they're driving towards and keeping the concepts relevant and keeping them in the news and all of that. So I do think that with rumors we've heard about Loop Ring with a partnership in Q4, that it's likely that they announce that they're the partnership that's happening based on wallets that have been found and coins that have been created. I think that it's safe to say that there is a layer 2 wallet that right now exists on Loop Ring that is called GameStop.loopring, that has a domain GameStop.loopring.eth, and it is likely some type of custodial wallet for internal coin NFTs that are minted potentially at first release as like a 1-to-1 for being a rewards member or a power up member or whatever, and then essentially driving like traffic into providing value to traffic in the brick and mortar stores with the rebrand. So being things like being able to show up at a grand reopening of a brand new GameStop that has been rebranded to be the new cool place to hang out for LAN parties and all that. And as a result, you get minted a GameStop founder NFT that gets dropped in this custodial wallet that if you want to pay the gas fees to remove it and trade it on OpenSea, that's fine, or you can just leave it there. And the future marketplace of GameStop, which is going to take time to efficiently build, that is like 6, 8, maybe even a year away from now, is a place where you could just hold it and then it can be traded directly there for actual like games or in-game materials and things like that once they like basically convince the publishers of games to be on board as well. Because I think that they're not going to be able to do that out of the gate. They need to prove that they have to test and prove the theory on its own without publishers being willing to jump on the gun, because they're just not going to, not right away. So I think there's some runway there and some future there, but none of it involves an NFT dividend. And again, I would be super disappointed if they actually did that.
Is everyone's brains okay? Jeremiah, I do know I got a comment in YouTube that you melted Johnny Rocket's brain. with everything that you just shared. Like, it's been incredible. And I would not be surprised with the whole loop ring thing. I really wouldn't be, because like I've been rereading through Brent Schultz's Pokemon thing, and I've been playing on Pokemon Go again. And by the way, thank you guys for like all the friend requests and like the little gifts. Like, you guys have been like, I my bag's too full. Like, I actually got a notification that I can't add anything else to my bag right now. So I guess I really do need to go and take a few more walks and go get some Pokemon. But no, I do think that there is something between Loop Ring, the NFT world, and this whole Pokemon Nintendo thing and GameStop. 100% Jeremiah. And you do have a question, Jeremiah, from GS. GS said, "Love this, Jeremiah. What do you think about GME and AMC partnership? Gaming theater? I don't know. Sounds like AMC fishing." Do you have a thought about that?
Yeah. Look, I am a strong believer that the future of modern cinema and modern theater experiences are rooted in the value of the experience, not the movie. If I don't have a reason to go to the movie theater that isn't just seeing a movie, then I'm not going to go. That was pre-COVID, but it's even more so now because of COVID. I'll go for I already have I will be buying my tickets, and I will be there on opening night to see Dune in IMAX, because I can't see IMAX in my living room. But beyond that, I don't have a reason to go to the movies to see any other movie unless it is something like that. And those are few and far between, which is not going to keep the movie industry alive. I think that places like Alamo Drafthouse or other smaller, which obviously COVID did a number of Alamo Drafthouse, but places like Alamo Drafthouse and other smaller movie chains have really nailed this concept of a theater experience, where it's not about getting charged an immense amount of money to see a crap movie that you could have watched at home with slightly less efficient or quality surround sound, but in more comfortable seating and better and cheaper food. I just don't think that the movie theaters took off years ago in the 20s and 30s when they first started happening, and then again in like the 50s, 60s with the drive-ins and everything. They took off because they were a novelty. People couldn't do that in their home. There was no way that they could look at these things, that they could watch these things in their home. But as time has gone on, movie theaters are directly pushing against the idea of in-home films. That's the reason why the VHS market took so long to take off, and the reason why originally movies renting a movie, like an actual VHS cassette, was like $180, because movie publishing houses didn't want to allow it to be in home because they knew it was the death of their industry. So I don't think that's changing. And until AMC pivots and realizes that they need to make it about an experience of seeing a movie, because I can watch Lord of the Rings in my house, in my living room, in my underwear, but I can't watch Lord of the Rings, the entire extended trilogy, over the course of an entire day with a catered lunch and everyone around me dressed up like elves on a big screen with surround sound. Like, that is what I would like to go to the movie theaters for, not for seeing some rom-com or something like that is going to be pointless to see on a big screen. So do I think that there is value in like a unification between GME and AMC? I think that until the AMC CEO gets his head out of his ass and actually does his job to be a legitimate CEO, Ryan Cohen shouldn't even look at him. I think that there's potential value there, but if anything, AMC needs GME. GME doesn't need AMC. So if that partnership were to happen, AMC needs to prove themselves as being a worthwhile partner. And right now, they're not doing it because he's a jackass and the entire board doesn't know what they're doing. So that's my feeling with AMC. I wouldn't mind it. I would totally be there for it, but like, they need to make it worth my while as a GME investor, and right now that's not happening. And I think AMC is doomed. If MOAS doesn't happen, I think AMC is doomed.
And there's his mic drop. And that is Jeremiah, guys. I no, and it's I was gonna add, I had a little giggle when you said that we can't you want to be able to go to the theater and have the experience of elves. I mean, you could always rent out the theater, get your like closest friends, dress up as elves, and go see Lord of the Rings. That's the only thing.
Sure, but that doesn't make money for AMC, right? Like, AMC, if they want to make money on that, they buy it. Like, Alamo Drafthouse made money because they would license Back to the Future for dirt cheap because it's Back to the Future and do a Back to the Future weekend where everyone showed up in DeLoreans and dressed like Marty McFly and Doc and charged an arm and a leg to sit in a DeLorean and eat food, diner food from the 50s and pretend like you were going back in time and listen to Huey Lewis and the news on repeat over and over and over again for 6 hours. Like people paid for that. I paid for that. It was great fun. Having booze and dressing up
That
like Marty
sounds like a
McFly was
blast.
phenomenal.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know. No, you're right. I mean, to me, the best thing that happens, is not a merger, guys. I'm not saying a merger, but like some kind of cooperation, a co-op between, YouTube or Twitch, which would be Amazon. So Google or Amazon, two big powerhouses, plus AMC and GameStop, creating some kind of experience for the esports, right? I think that would be an epic partnership between the three of them. But that, again, it would take a lot, and I don't know how that looks, but I think that would be the greatest thing that any of them could do for it. Or even if there was a way for AMC to hook up, like have like a LAN party type thing, start catering to the esports, massive, LAN parties or anything, like using the big ultra screen for a LAN party. That would be awesome. I don't know. That's just my
I agree. I think that there is options there. There are options there. There is absolutely growth potential within AMC as well as, and even more so if they partner with GME and other esports arenas and things like that. And then just to tie back to that whole NFT concept, like if you're showing up as an AMC in order to participate or view and be part of like a celebration of esports for a contest that's happening in Singapore, but you're here in the States, enjoying it and having fun and getting drunk with your friends while cheering on your favorite team. You should, since it's sponsored by GameStop, since GameStop is involved, you should walk, as soon as you walk in, they scan your ticket and they also immediately give you a wallet address that you can type in and redeem your NFT that says that you were at that launch party for that esports tournament. Like there's no reason why you can't combine all those thoughts into one thing. I just think that like AMC needs to get their shit together if they want to compete in that arena. Pun non intended, no pun intended there. But and as of now, the guy's barely wearing pants most of the time, so I don't think we're going to see that.
Oh Lord. Oh. I'm curious to see what happens. No, GameStop has done great, being able to, redefine themselves, and, they're bringing themselves into the 22nd century, because they are going cloud-based, they are going e-commerce, they're going, they're making it to where, their brick and mortars are a little bit different. They have LAN parties. They're catering to the actual like gamers, right? They're filling a void with that Fry's Electronics left, not having modular computer parts easily accessible. They're starting to put those in their stores. Like I think it's a really cool thing what they're doing, which I'm really happy, because I mean years ago my husband and I we had friends that worked at GameStop, and we'd ask them, hey, how's it going, what's the store looking like how's business, and they're like, we're dying. They were dead. And this was close to a college town. Right? Like that was not a good thing. But so to see that they are coming back is very awesome, in my opinion. But I will wrap this up tonight. We've been going for almost 2 hours. Do you guys have any final thoughts? Sierra, Jeremiah, Antimatter?
I just say I appreciate you holding these spaces. I don't attend them all. I try to stay away from the GME ones because some of my thoughts on GME don't go over well, and it's just easier for me to not attend. But when it comes to NFT and crypto, I'm always there. I love talking about crypto, so I appreciate you holding them, and other people, I appreciate you giving me a chance to rant at you for a bit about different opinions that I strongly feel.
Well, I feel like you just won over the GameStop people. I don't think you won over the AMC people. I mean, I'm just gonna throw that one out there. But no, always. I am sorry that we haven't been doing spaces lately. I was having a problem broadcasting spaces to YouTube because it was really quiet, but now I've got that figured out. So we will be doing more spaces and Discord. So yeah, we'll be doing more cryptos and stuff. So Jeremiah, you're always welcome because you're a wealth of knowledge for crypto and NFTs. Always.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that. I agree. Yeah, thanks for holding these spaces. It's great to have crypto talk. I'm always down for it.
I love it. I love all my new friends. That the crypto week and the NFT week, I made some awesome friends. You guys are phenomenal. Like that was such a good thing to do. Maybe we'll do it again sometime soon. Whenever I have more people to come bring their work. I'm really sad that I host these and I tell everyone to come bring their new projects and nobody did except for Easy. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not an NFT creator. Sorry.
I have a project I'll share in a few weeks.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yes. I look forward to it.
So I had a couple of comments. They were related to Jeremiah's discussion around EMC, but now I'm like 2 glasses into wine, and maybe I'll just reserve those comments till the next space. So yeah.
I look forward to it. Yeah, I'm not, to be clear, I'm not super bearish on like AMC. I don't like. Look, I just think that they have some work to do. A lot more work than GME.
Hey, dude. I like what you were saying. I was exactly on the same page. Like, no, I agree entirely. And those were comments that I've shared. I think probably on the BullHouse like months ago. That there's an opportunity granted. There's an opportunity for AMC to capitalize on, but it's going to be very difficult, and especially with AMC, they invest in physical space. If they're not using that space for movies, they're potentially going to use that space for like esports or something else. But at the end of the day, they have a physical limit on the space. They're going to be cannibalizing their sales on either movies or esports or what have you. But it's just a challenge. Yeah. I've had very similar thoughts. Very similar opinions. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I won't say anything about. Yeah, I think EMC definitely has that opportunity for MOAS. I don't know about the play if MOAS did not happen. GameStop, similarly, there's certainly that MOAS play, but if MOAS did not happen, I believe there's a huge opportunity regardless. I'll just leave it at that. Sorry.
I can hear the whine in your voice.
Yeah.
I believe
the late nights. I'm telling you, it gets funny. So Antimatter, you go enjoy your drinks and chill out. And I appreciate you guys being here tonight. And tomorrow we are diving into the inverses. I'm still gathering information on who's invested in what, so I might not be sleeping much, but that's what we're talking about tomorrow. I will try to do it in Twitter space tomorrow, so we're just going to do a broad market basically tomorrow in Twitter space, but we will be covering the inverses and seeing what I see. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Good night.
Night, guys.
everyone.